Good morning, friends. How are you today? My name is Praise for it's May 15, International Day of the Family. Right, I would really love to talk about the family today. Um, because the most important nation on earth is the family. Our family is the production factor of the society. So today it's a day that is dedicated to the family, right? So I would really love to talk about the family, but I will reserve that for tomorrow because we're already going to have the conference later today, which starts at 11 o'clock. And in that conference, we're going to be talking about family all through. But this particular episode 31, Esther, you're welcome once again. First to always arrive. This episode 31 is specially dedicated to my friend, my brother, Oluwaseyi Fadipe. Exactly a year ago, at about 2 a.m. thereabout, Sheyi passed on, having battled with cancer, some kind of rare cancer. So he passed on. And trust me, I'm not someone that's very good with grief because I would rather run away than confront it, even though I've learned to do that. I've lost some people in my life. When I lost my dad, I didn't really cry. When I lost my mentor, I didn't really cry. So for a long time, I felt I was okay. I've lost two mentors and I didn't really cry. I'm in similar circumstances. And I just thought everything was fine. I move on until I began a battle with mild depression and I was losing confidence. So when I began to sit in therapy, right, it then dawned that my style of coping with grief was to file it away and avoid it instead of confronting it. So I began to confront grief. And by confronting grief, life began to take a new meaning to me to realize that I think many of us, even though we are close, we get used to ourselves that we forget that we're here temporarily and we're going to depart someday, right? That we can't become so attached. So, for example, life took a new meaning to me. For example, my parents became the transportation vehicle that brought me to this planet, right? So I cannot be totally too attached to the plane that brought me to planet Earth because that's what your parents are. Your parents are the airplane or earth plane or heaven plane that brought you to this planet, right? You need to honor them because they're part of their brief is also to help you navigate and groom you, but you cannot be totally too attached to your parents that you forget that you are here on assignment. Then some of us meet friends along the way. We become too attached to them that when they die, their death shakes us to a level where many people never recover. We forget also that there was a time and point in our life we have not met this friend. There was a time in our life that we didn't know them and we survived, so that everyone has got their times and seasons. So when people check out of your life, you need to confront it. You need to grieve if you want to grieve. You need to cry if you want to cry. But life is sorry, life has got to move on. Sorry, my phone just dropped from the anger, right? But this one is a special dedication to Sheyi Fadipe. I want to appreciate God for how he has kept Pastor Bose and kept the children, kept all his friends. Sheyi was one of the most selfless souls I have ever met in my life. As a matter of fact, I had to cry, especially because there was a time Sheyi was seriously sick. I didn't know he was sick. I didn't know he had cancer that period, but Sheyi still drove me, because I didn't want to drive to, we were going for a meeting. It was still Sheyi that drove to that meeting, right? And he didn't tell me he was seriously sick. He was someone who served to death. He served humanity and he served his God to death. Well, I believe that he's in a better place and is resting. So rest in peace, Sheyi. This is a tribute to you. I know if Sheyi were to be alive today, Sheyi will be watching this. He never misses anything that has to do with me, right? So, Pastor Bosse, I know you're going to get to see this, you're wherever you are. I want to say that we love you, we celebrate, and we appreciate you. Okay, having said that, today is going to be brief. When I say it's going to be brief, trust me, this time it's going to be brief. People have said that when Pray said it's going to be brief, you can expect 30 minutes. No, it's not going to be 30 minutes today, right? What am I talking about? I've been meditating on the life of Sheyi, and the fact that every human being needs to be human. That one of the things we never fail to do is the power to live as human being. Many of us have become human doing. Many of us have been conditioned to become human things, right? That people use us, right? But we do not live. An average human being is not going to live because is going to depend on other people to tell him how to live. It's going to allow other people create rules and regulation, so he cannot live life on his terms. He's going to live life on their terms. Now, when you live life on other people's terms, you are likely not going to live, right? So you're going to be human doing, who keeps doing one thing or the other, gets involved in the frenzy of activities, gets involved, go to work, right? You're going to be living life in a way that you most likely will be a human thing, or a human, a human thing, right? Not really a human being, right? So you need to check your life today as a follow-up to what we talked about yesterday, to say, am I living, right? And if I'm living, where am I, where is this my living taking me to, right? That's an average human being, right? We are human doing, right? We do things, but we do not be. We are not in a state of being. A state of being is a state where you are yourself. And I'm going to give you a couple of criteria and a couple of characteristics of who a human being should be, so that you can check yourself against some of the things I'm going to share, right? Now, I have said that you can never understand any concept better than your thought process, which is why I love, the scriptures that says, as you think in his heart, so he is. I mean, why is it that when two people from different upbringing sees the same thing, they see different things, right? Why is it that two people from, two different nations see the same thing and see different things, right? And I stumbled on the write-up by Mark Zuckerberg. He said, they asked him, Mark, why do you wear the same clothes all the time? And he said he does not wear all the clothes all the time, right? Here was what he said. He said, I really want to clear my life so that I have to make as few decisions as possible about anything except how to best serve this community. I am in this really lucky position where I get to wake up every day and help serve more than 1 billion people. And I feel like I am not doing my job if I spend any of my energy on things that are silly or frivolous about my life. So that way I can dedicate all my energy towards building the best product and service. Think about it. This guy is saying that I do not want to spend my life thinking of what to wear. He considered what to wear a mundane and frivolous and useless thing. It's amazing, because he wakes up every morning thinking that I'm in a position to serve 1 billion people. That's what Mark Zuckerberg says. He says, I really want to clear my life so that I have to make as few decisions as possible about anything except how best to serve this community. I'm in this very lucky position where I get to wake up every day and serve more than 1 billion people. Question is, how many people do you serve when you wake up, right? He said, I'm serving 1 billion, and I feel like I'm not doing my job if I spend any of my energy on things that are silly or frivolous about my life, so that way I can dedicate all my energy towards just building the best product and service, right? That this guy, the summary of what he has said is that I must walk the walk of him that sends me while it is day. That's what he has said, right? That I must do the will of my Father and I must finish it. That I don't want to, he has summarized one of the scriptures Jesus gave, that do not take thought of your life, what you shall wear, what you shall. That's what Mark Zuckerberg is saying. That I wake up to serve 1 billion people every day. I do not want to spend any ounce of my brain thinking about what to wear. So he has loaded his wardrobe with the same type of clothes that he can just pick, because he doesn't require his energy, the brain to think of what to wear. Think of how much time we spend on what to wear, right? Where you check yourself. Some people spend 1.5 hours trying to dress well. There is nothing wrong with that, right? But look at this guy, 1.5 hours you're spending to look at how you dress. Mark Zuckerberg is saying, I don't even want to spend a minute thinking of what to wear. I think they had to force him to wear suits when he was going to the Senate to go and make a defense, and when he was coming to Nigeria, of course. But what this guy is saying is, I want to dedicate my life, my energy. I have 24 hours to live, that I want to give everything to serving 1 billion people, right? In creating, the only thing that must occupy my time is the creation of products and service. So what is the difference between a human victim and a human being? Because many of us are victims of the madness that has been, I'm using that word madness carefully, that has been imposed on our brain. So for example, imagine when you were born, your parents realized that you have the capacity to become a scientist or an inventor. And every information they loaded your brain with were information on innovation. Who would you have become? Imagine if everywhere they took you to were environment that promoted your innovative spirit. Imagine every teacher they exposed you to were teachers that promoted your ability to use your brain. Imagine every religious gathering they took you to were places where the use of the human mind is promoted. Imagine if every school, every decision that was taken with the understanding that this child is going to innovate or is going to be a scientist. Question, who would you have become? But what has happened is our parents or our handlers, and it's not because they are bad, they did the best they could with what they knew. I mean, many of us are making the same mistakes right now. They loaded our brain with information we didn't need, right? So when I was growing up, my dad or my parents, we watch all kinds of, Yoruba plays like Arelu, like Opaje, Omoenoku, Kotoaye, and all those funny things, right? So we will see Abija, we will see Father Yoloro. Father Yoloro is a guy in Nigeria, way back, who used to chant incantation. So we would say it about when we got to school, we replicated it. Now, that information is not required in my future at all. Right? It's not, but my brain was loaded with it. Even though I was in school, at the same time, I was rehearsing to become Father Yoloro. Father Yoloro has no expression in the future at all. But my brain was loaded with him. Now, there are several other information that my brain was loaded with in school that I have no use of in my future. Right? So the people that handled many of us, they were no respecters of our latent ability, our natural ability. They loaded our brain with what they met on ground. Educational system in Nigeria was created not by asking the critical question of who do we want our citizens to become? How do we want them to think before the curriculum was created? Because the goal of the subject in a school is to subject you to become a subject to what you are being subjected to. Subject has a threefold. To subject you to what you are being subjected to. Right? That you begin to think within the ambit of what you were being subjected to. Many of what we were being subjected to has no bearing with our natural ability. That's why many of us have grown into adulthood and we are confused. Right? We never leave. Right? We are victim of what has been stored in our brain. So, how do you differentiate a human victim from a human being, or a human thing from a human being, or a human doing from a human being? One, you must have choices. Once you don't have choices, right, or you think you are stuck and you've got no choice, you are most likely a human victim. A human being must have a choice, right? And you must be able to stand by your choice. Your choice must not be dependent on what someone approves or what someone does not approve. Your choices must not, of course, your choice must be ecological, and your choice must bring glory to God, must add value to human being, and it must be time bound, right? But your choices cannot be because someone is going to get angry, right? Many of us, there are things, truth we would have spoken, but we cannot speak that truth because we think of the emotion of someone we're trying to appease, right? So a human being will have choices. Every time you think you are stuck is a reminder that you have lost your capacity to be a human being. Most likely, you are a human victim. Number two, a human being must have a sense of vision, because vision is a mental picture of a preferred future. Vision is your future. The moment you cannot see a future, you are already blind. They asked Ellen Keller, they said, what is worse than being blind? And she said, what is worse than being blind is having sight without vision. It's having sight without vision. That your eyes can be open and you cannot see what is ahead of you, right? That the moment your vision is taken away from you, you have been captured. You don't need to join propaganda to say vaccine is going to capture you. I mean, that's very laughable, but you have been captured, right? Because a human being must be able to visualize. A human being must have a sense of vision to say, there is something I'm on earth to do. Every day in the last 1 week, I've listened to Jack Ma. And it's amazing what Jack Ma did in 10 years of, building Alibaba, right? He has retired from that company from that group right now. But Jack Ma said something that struck me yesterday. He said that IQ is good, right? That emotional intelligence, EQ, helps you manage people, right? That IQ helps you not to lose money, but that is only LQ that can power the innovation that is ecological and that helps humanity. Say because LQ, which is love quotient, it comes from the heart. EQ is emotions based. IQ is intellect based. Only love Q comes from the heart. So he said the vision that is not birthed from a place of love will damage humanity. Now, do you have a sense of vision? If you can't see anything ahead of you and you are not working towards it, because sense of vision and choices work together. It's one thing to have a vision, it's another thing to make the choice to work in the direction of your vision. A lot of people, they are stuck with, hey, I got the revelation from God. God just showed me a revelation. Shut up. We don't need the revelation God has shown you. What are you going to do with the revelation? Are you traveling in the direction of revelation? It's amazing that many people are traveling in the direction that has no bearing with their lives. They are traveling in the opposite direction, but they are not aware. It's a very it's a very bad way to live life. So a sense of vision must be very clear, right? Every human being must have a sense of vision. Number 3, every human being must be passionate about something. There must be something that takes your time, that takes your life away, right? I was seeing someone yesterday and he was teaching and he said, right, that he has never seen a prosperous gossip. He said he has never seen a prosperous gossip, and I said he has not met Linda Ikeji, because Linda Ikeji is a gossip and she's prosperous. She has built a business around it, right? That whatever people comment about you, right, is marketable. Whatever people say you do very well, that takes your time, you can always build a business around it. The business of the future, we are not even started talking about it. Some businesses are going to disappear. As a matter of fact, there are people studying PhD right now in school for a course that will have no future, right? Because that course already outlived its youthfulness. It's not going to be relevant in the future, but they are doing PhD right now in school. So you need to be passionate about something, right? Because passion is like energy. Passion is fire. Passion takes your life. I'm passionate about knowledge. I'm passionate about teaching. I'm passionate about instructing people. I'm passionate about family. I'm passionate about creating solutions. Those are the things that take my life. And if you stand in my way, I'm almost going to crush you, right? You must have a sense of passion. Number 4, every human being must have independent fact-finding, which is asking the question why. The moment you lose your ability to ask why, or people feel you have no right to say why, you have lost your humanity. You have become a human victim. What Fela calls zombie, oh zombie, zombie, oh zombie. That when you get to that point where you cannot do independent fact-finding, which is why it's almost upsetting for me that people went to school, people have a phone, it's called a smartphone, people have a laptop, people have internet, right? People can go online and Google. Yet, some stories that doesn't make sense, trends, and people pass it on, right? For example, that a vaccine will be created, and once we take that vaccine, our mind will be controlled by some guy in America. He will begin to control our mind from wherever he is, because we have taken a vaccine. And intellectually sound people, respected people, believe that narrative, right? That day I concluded that maybe knowledge is actually overrated in some people, right? That independent fact-finding. The Bible qualifies this as Berean Christian. Berean Christian did not take whatever Paul was saying because it was Paul. Paul was legendary, almighty apostle, but no way, we're going to fact-find what you're saying. We're going to cross-check it. Now, the challenge in Africa is every time you try to behave like a human being by making independent fact-finding, they think you are doubting them. Why should I believe you? You are a human being. You are fallible. I must approach what you are saying from a position of curiosity, not acceptance. The moment I begin to accept what you are saying from a position of acceptance, then you have captured me, because I have enough sense to know that you are a man, you are fallible, you can exaggerate, you are a carrier of truth, but you have the capacity to carry error. Peter was used by God and the devil within a space of 10 minutes. But Jesus had the capacity to recognize the two. So I'm not going to be carried away. People have been carried away by all kinds of high-sounding messages, high-sounding words that my friend calls it. He said it's low sperm count. It can excite, but it can impregnate, right? That any revelation that cannot produce any power is low sperm count. It can excite, it can impregnate, right? So independent fact finding, that whatever information comes to you, the first thing you need to do is not to pass it on. You want to check, right? Fact check is available. You want to check, is this correct? Does this even sit straight in your brain? There are things you don't even need to check. You just need to ask yourself, does this sit well in your brain? That as a human being, you will take vaccine and your mind will be in America. Somebody will be remote controlling it. The person is jobless, right? That to believe that one human being who has no position of authority, no government, no constitutional backing, that person is more powerful than all the presidents of the world because he's rich, right? And that person can now determine that the whole world population will diminish, right? And people believed it. Yet the same man is stopping polio in Nigeria. The same man is working towards Africans not dying of healthcare system, right? All he needed to do to kill us is to withdraw his money. It's very simple, right? But human beings believe that, right? So it's lack of independent fact finding that every time you don't fact find, which is why everything I'm saying to you on this show, don't take it, go and cross check, right? Only hold on to that which past the, because I'm saying a lot of controversial things. You may not believe it. It will contradict your brain. It will contradict what you have believed, right? Go and check it, right? I have learned to bow to superior instruction over time. That's how I got here, right? That wherever I find superior instruction that has the capacity to produce results, I am going to surrender to it, right? Because there is no point wasting my life believing what cannot produce result. I have seen people believe certain things, right? That he has not produced result. I have seen people die by holding on to what has not produced result. I am not ready to waste my life. So independent fact finding is number 4. If you are a human being, you will have the power of why. You'll be free enough to ask every human being. So let us do this. Why do we need to do it, sir? If the person feels insulted, then the person is trying to insult your humanity. Why should I be afraid to ask you why? Right? An average person cannot ask why. Because truth is not truth in Africa. Truth is often who says it, right? But truth cannot be dependent on who says it. Truth must be truth. Truth must be able to stand by itself. Truth must be able to stand against error. Where we have to choose between you and truth, we have to hold on to truth. But people will choose the person that they love against the truth. So when someone that is less known speaks the truth, we're not going to accept him. Even when the superior that we respect speaks error, if he peddles error, people would rather follow that error into their destruction than follow the truth, because the capacity to fact find has been taken away. Down, those are human victims. Number 5, limitless thinking. Limitless thinking, which is global view, right? What it means is your thinking cannot be limited within the ambit of your space. Every time your thinking is limited, right, you have become a human thing or a human victim or a human doing, not a human being. The capacity the human being has is the power of imagination. You can think of going across the globe. You can think of innovating a solution and collaborating to spread it across the globe. The moment you lose your capacity for limitless thinking, something has gone wrong fundamentally with you. Number 6, creative ability and imagination. I've just touched on that. Creative ability. That God is a creator. You are made in his image. You must pattern your life after him. That the DNA of creation is inside of you. The DNA of omnipresent is inside of you. There are human beings on this planet who are omnipresent. By creating a product that is present everywhere, that's omnipresent. What are you going to create that will be present, right, all over the world? Which is why you cannot shrink your soul and just think of Nigeria. Nigeria is too small a place. You need to think of the world. For God so loved the world, not God so loved Nigeria. You cannot be innovating for your small space alone, for your small sector alone, right? You need to have a creative imagination, creative ability like God, right? And think wild for humanity. Now, if you don't have the power to creatively think and imagine, then you have lost your humanity. Most likely you are a human victim. Next one is empathy. A human being must be able to empathize, which means you must be able to step onto the shoes of other people. Jesus wept when people were in crisis, but he also rejoiced with them, right? That if you lose your humanity, which is why our leaders in Africa, not all of them, majority of, so when you look at what Abacha stole, for example, that's a human thing who has lost capacity to empathize. That when you have been elected to lead the people and you cannot stand in their shoes to say, how do they feel? Now, it says we do not have a high priest who is not touched by the feeling of our infirmities. If you have lost the capacity to feel what people feel, to feel the fact that they have not eaten, to now have the audacity to steal their money and go and buy a house abroad, you have lost your humanity. Many of our leaders are not human beings. They are human victims. They are human things. So they behave like inanimate objects, right? In their expression, in the way they loot, in the way they talk, in the assignments that they deliver, in the shoddy nature in which they deliver on the assignment. And they expect you not to talk. So you must have empathy. Every time you lose your empathy, you lose your humanity. Next one is growth and development. You must never be at the same level of knowledge you were yesterday. I always tell people, if you are celebrating 50 years old, as they are singing happy birthday to you, they are also singing happy ignorance to you, happy ignorance to you, happy ignorance to you, praise, happy ignorance to you, because age does not add to you what you have not learned, right? If you have not grown capacity, your age cannot add it to you. I have met 50-year-old teenagers, right? Even though it's 50 chronological age, but this thinking is like a teenager. The capacity to grow has not been cultivated. Every human being must be able to grow and develop. You must not be battling with what you used to battle with 10 years ago after 10 years. No, it shows that you have not activated your humanity to a state of being. You have become a victim of a system that celebrates your mediocrity. Because if that system makes it impossible for you to function, then you would have jolted yourself to reality and done something better with your life. Every human being. So if you used to get angry unnecessarily 10 years ago, you are still getting angry this year, something is wrong with you. If you have lived with a spouse or lived with someone for 5 years and you are still surprised at the way they react to things, then you have not developed the capacity to undo it in a way that what they are doing no longer affect you. You have not grown. You have not developed. If you have a friend, right, and you still get upset at what is a norm for them, something is wrong, fundamentally wrong. If you live in a house and there are things you use every day, you are still surprised that those things finish without you knowing, something is wrong with you, right? So you need to grow and develop, right? So I've taught you how to grow and develop. Benchmark a first world country or benchmark a mentor. It's called mastermind. Look for someone, an icon that is global. Listen to that person every day. I'm on Jack Ma right now. I've been on Jack Ma, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, and Warren Buffett. If you check my vision board for the year, you find those faces there. So I listen to them every day, right? So that I can upgrade my mind, so that I can grow. I mean, I go into school after every podcast. I spend 2 hours listening to this guy and looking through their lens, how they sit and how they take decisions. Next one is humor. Every human being must have the capacity to laugh, right? Laugh at yourself, laugh at your foolishness. Once the capacity of humor has been taken away from you, you become a human victim. A lot of us don't have a sense of humor. You can't even throw banters. You are too touchy. They can't, throw banters with you. You consider it as insult, right? You are too stiff, right? So that's why, and how you know, every little touch, you react, right? Someone steps on your toes, you shout as if they have killed you, right? You say, are you blind? Something is wrong with you. Your stress level is high, which means your humanity has been taken away from you, right? So you need a sense of humor. If you fall down, don't be afraid of what people will say. Enjoy that place, right? After all, when you were a child, you fell down, you play with sand. You did not give a hoot about what people would say. The only problem that has happened to us is that we have grown, right? We have left our childhood, which is why I always say that the problem of the world is an adult, the solution is a child. The last thing I'll talk about is faith. Faith, right? Every human being must have a faith, right? And your faith, right, is your faith, right? Your faith may not be my faith, but it must be your faith. It must be what you believe in, right? It could be love, it could be Christianity, it could be Islam, but it must be your faith. But your faith also must be reasoned out, thought through in a way that you are no longer following blindly religion and you think you're spiritual. Many people are religious, they are not spiritual. Meanwhile, spirituality is what they need. So they follow a methodology that cannot produce the outcome they desire, but they sink it in year out. They are already domesticating their children to follow what has not produced the future they desire, which is why Gen Z are rebelling against it to say, no, I cannot follow your life because your life has not inspired me, as it were. Right. So guys, you need to Think about your life today, right? Nobody has promised you tomorrow, but we believe you're going to see tomorrow. But today, are you going to maximize it in a way that you step into a state of being where you live life on your own time? Anyone you want to talk to, go and talk to them. Anyone your heart says to you, you want to meet, send them a mail. If they're on Twitter, tweet at them. If they're on Instagram, follow them. If they're on LinkedIn, send them a mail, right? Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't look at yourself and think you are too small. If you want to meet Bill Gates, send him a mail. Do it every day, right? Till he responds to you. He that asks will receive. He that seek will find. And he that knocks the door consistently, the door will eventually be open. If you don't knock the door, you are not qualified to open any door. So stop talking about you want to go, you want to break through. Stop talking about that, right? If you don't seek, you are not qualified to find, right? If you don't ask, you are not qualified to receive. So what is the need in your life? You are a human being. The person you want to ask is a human being. Is human to human. It's not human to spirit. He has no other advantage over you than the fact that he has maximized some of the things I have itemized today. So guys, go ahead, maximize your life today. Dance, be free, humor, right? Throw a party. Whatever you want to do, but make sure that it's in line with where you want to go with your life. Celebrate yourself. Don't wait for people to do it. Develop empathy, develop humor, have a faith, growth and development, creative ability and imagination, limitless thinking, right? Think of yourself traveling around the world. Think of yourself innovating something the whole world can use. Independent fact-finding. Activate your power of why from today. Everything they throw at you, ask why, then be passionate about something, create a sense of vision, and have a sense of choice, right? If you do that, you will realize that your life will change drastically. You will no longer need many of the things that you need to make you happy. You will naturally be happy. Where happiness is creating the heaven and protecting the heaven within you in a way that the hell without you loses its power over you. I hope I have added value to you today. Please go ahead, be a human being. Take yourself away from the people that have placed you in a cage as a human victim. They thought they knew you. They don't know you. You are like onion. A new layer has been taken off today. The real you is about to emerge. Go ahead, make it the best day of your life. And my heart with Bosse Fadikbe and the children, right? Today is 1 year remembrance of our friend Oluwaseyi Fadikbe. This session is dedicated to him. You are so unforgettable, Sheyi. We love you. We all miss you, but we know you are already resting. Please, guys, have a fantastic day. And let's meet at 11 o'clock because at 11 on YouTube, we're doing African Family Life Delegates Conference today. We have 2 sessions, 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. Olakunle Shorian, Dr. Margaret Machera from Tennessee State University. She's going to be there. Adesua Onyenokwe, Godman Akelabi is going to be there. Wuli Arole is going to be there. I'm going to be there. Diman will be, and quite a number of people. You don't want to miss that session for anything. I hope to see you there. Thank you everyone for joining me. All of you, I love you from the depth of my heart. And like I always say, we are all saviors. Let us go save our world today. Bye-bye.